Okay, honestly, I think society just needs to collectively sit its ass down and just come to the acceptance that new metal and alternative metal were fucking awesome. Listen, review family, I'm 23. I grew up in the heat of new metal and alternative metal, the craze of it, and I was coming at the back end of it. So you know it means a lot coming from someone like me who grew up when the back end shitfest of it was really reaching its peak, when all of the carbon copy copycat bands of bands like Disturbed and Korn and Limp Bizkit and that type of shit were being cranked out by the dozens that you literally cannot remember the names of at all. And I was at the peak of machinimas and AMVs and fucking anime edits and Halo 3 montages to fucking click click boom. So don't even come at me saying that I didn't see the worst of the worst. I was there when bands like Puddle of Mud and Trapped and Stained and Saliva were making the rounds. And I will also say one of my favorite bands and one of my biggest gateway bands was Breaking Benjamin, and I still live and die by Breaking Benjamin, even though I can accept the fact that musically they're not the most diverse or dynamic. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the fucking riffs. But that's besides the point. I think new metal and alternative metal kind of have this reputation that's a little easy to hate because they did kind of embody a lot of cringy aesthetics, and it got associated with the white boy rage. Mom, if you even had to be in my fucking brain for a second, you would not understand what I am going through. There are demons that have to be fought. Great, now my hair is just gonna be eternally fucked up for the rest of this video, I guess. And that's fine, we'll just wear the hat. You know who I blame for this? You know the band that I just fucking blame for the entirety of this? Limp fucking Bizkit, Fred Durst. I want us to stop pretending that Break Stuff didn't bang and slap. I'm wanting us to stop pretending that Limp Bizkit didn't crank out some bangers and even had some late catalog bangers. And even like the quote-unquote good or talented or like stylistically diverse bands like Korn and Slipknot, which are called nu metal, they get so much hate as well. And it wasn't all bad, because you did have bands like Korn and like Slipknot and some of early Disturbed, even though I think looking back on Disturbed's early work, it's just meddled with the worst tropes of the genre, and we all thought that was acceptable. I don't care how much the riffs on Disturbed's The Sickness slapped or how good of a vocalist David Draymond is, the motherly abuse bridge on Down with the Sickness will never be okay, and I'm not sure why we thought that was appropriate. Not to mention you have a band like System of a Down, one of the most successful heavy metal bands of all time with the most notoriety, fantastic musicians. And then kind of adjacent with that, you had the entirety of like the alternative metal scene, which kind of went shoulder to shoulder with it in many ways, kind of embodying a lot of that post-grunge-ism. And y'all are tripping if you think I'm gonna let you forget about Linkin Park. Linkin Park were probably the biggest nu metal band and one of the biggest bands of all time, period. The numbers they have done are insane. And unfortunately, a lot of people are always gonna kind of dunk on nu metal and dunk on alternative metal because it's rap being infused with heavy metal music, and we can't have that damn hip-hop in our organic music. Oh god, guitar music is not. Say it's not so, the hip-hop beats. Somebody get those motherfuckers a Beastie Boy CD like pronto. But stylistically and riff-wise, if you sift through all of the jokes and memes about nu metal and alternative metal, and the gatekeeping mentality being anti-nu metal, because all of the people that are really anti-nu metal and alternative metal, they tend to be some of the more extreme metalheads I've noticed, more people that are into like black metal and death metal and that sort of stuff, or like beat down hardcore type of music, and so they're not really a fan of that being infused with metal or how cheesy or commercially viable it was. I've always said that when a genre propels itself into notoriety and becomes more popular in the public eye, people are going to have a lot of complaints about it. People are going to want to aim their ire and their rage towards it because they don't want to see anything become popular, and there are very few times in heavy metal that the genre had such skyrocketing success as nu metal and alternative metal, if not ever, in my personal opinion. And I think that led to a lot of the gatekeeping and purist mentality against it, but it was also just the inclusion of hip-hop into metal and rock music. But a lot of these bands had a lot of creative ideas, made a lot of really compelling music, and I think another big part of it was there were a lot of copycat bands, a lot of shitty bands that were making shitty music with shitty riff ideas and shitty vocalists, and it really did popularize the sort of Pearl Jam and Godsmack sort of like singing style that I think really did get a little overplayed, a little mundane and one note, one dimensional. And so I think the bands that stood the test of time are the ones that had some grit, had some vigor and personality. Korn, Jonathan Davis is one of the most unique vocalists in the game. You have Corey Taylor of Slipknot. You have Surge and just System of a Down as a whole, as well as Chester Bennington and Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park. And even though we take the piss out of Limp Bizkit a lot, Fred Durst is a douchebag, I get it. He's still one of the more like personality-driven vocalists that has a lot of flair and has a lot of style and substance to the way that he raps, to the way that he sings, to the way that he growls, and it makes him stand out in the crowd. So for every self-titled record from Cold Chamber, we have, you know, a Toxicity from System of a Down, or an Iowa by Slipknot, or a Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, and I think people that just want to dunk on nu metal and alternative metal aren't realizing just how many timeless, incredible records came from that period of time. And it's a time that meant a lot to me in my musical journey and just in my life in general. And I own a lot of the albums that I've talked about. I've owned a lot of the discographies of the bands that I have mentioned because they mean a lot to me. They were gateway bands that got me into more extreme forms of music. And for all the people that say that these are commercially viable bands that shouldn't be listened to because they're popular, they're sellouts or whatever, these bands give people the platform to be able to develop their musical listening styles and go into different genres to find more musical styles that they enjoy down the road. There has to be that sort of gateway drug to begin, and if you don't give them that, you're just locking them away from having a lifetime of enjoyment. And if it wasn't for a lot of these bands, the bands that I've mentioned and many more, I wouldn't have had the musical journey that I have had. But what are your guys' opinions of nu metal and alternative metal? Let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.